I used many different types of technologies in my opening sequence. I used a variety of hardware, software and websites. All of these were used to help me produce a successful opening sequence. It varied from the equipment themselves to some software that I used on the computers and also websites which helped me along the way and also to complete my research. I used a variety of different hardware in creating my opening sequence. The main thing I used was the iMac Apple computers. These were very important as this is what I completed all my research and all my editing on. They're very efficient and easy to use. As you can see, there's a picture here. Next I used a still camera. This was the Kodak EasyShare C763. I used this to take pictures of my animatic, which I then uploaded onto iMovie, which I'll talk about later when I'm talking about the software. Next I used a video camera. This was the Canon FS100. I used this to film my opening sequence and get the footage I needed. And also in using this, I used a tripod in a few of my shots. This was to make sure that the shots were smooth. This is mainly for only like pan shots. I used it in 1 or 2 shots because a lot of mine were eyeline matches, and I did use it in some of the close-ups I think as well to make them more steady and controlled. I used 5 different types of software when creating my opening sequence. The first piece of software I used on the iMacs was called iMovie. I used this to upload my animatic photographs which I took with the Kodak EasyShare camera. I then created them and put them into an animatic, which I then chose the timings and also transitions I wanted to use my opening sequence. This was a rough guideline of what I was going to do and the order of the shots I was going to use. It also explained the storyline quite well, and I could add music, which I created on GarageBand, as you can see. Here is a screenshot of the music after I'd finished it. So on here I created the music and also sound effects which I wanted to include in my opening sequence. After this I used Final Cut. This was the software which I used overall for all the editing and putting it all together really. Here is a screenshot of Final Cut and all the things together that I used. When creating the titles I used a program called LiveType. I used this to create Diamond Media, that title, and also my other titles like the name of it, the title of the film, Illusional Fear, and also the casting and the screenplay, all the black and white ones. They had nice effects on there. LiveType was really good actually because you could use lots of animation and it really made them a bit more interesting than just having text. And I used Photoshop Premiere Elements to create my Apex Productions title. I created this firstly by making the stamp itself, and then I just done loads of different shots of it, but slowly getting smaller, and then I put them all together. But I done them like obviously reverse. I started with the blank screen, and then they got bigger, and then I changed the timings on Final Cut to make it flow better, so it looked a bit like a stamp coming towards. And then I used the music obviously from GarageBand and the sound effects to make it more effective and seem like a stamp. And finally there was only 2 really main websites I used. The first was WordPress. This was to do my blogging. This was an ongoing process as I blogged all the way along of what my ideas were and what I was going to do in my progress. So it just really shows what I've been doing the whole time, and it was really good actually because it helped me keep up with what I was going to do, and it also helped me plan of what I was going to do next. Like just before I was about to film, I put a blog about what I needed to prepare before to make sure I was ready for the filming. Access it from school and from home, which means I didn't have to carry papers around with me. Also you can just put little short blogs on there if you just had an idea, and it didn't have to be too formal, and the language was very casual that I used. As you can see there's a screenshot now. YouTube is also another website I used. This was to look at other opening sequence clips, for example, to look at Silent Hill, and although I did look at those on the DVD, but I did place some trailers from there onto my blog. But I might later put some links to the actual opening sequences themselves. Also, I looked at some production companies to get some ideas of the designs and how they were produced and the sort of layout they used as well. So here's a screenshot of YouTube.